Hey ladies and gentlemen, how you guys been doing? It's your boys in here and welcome to week 1 of the Battle Union. Yes, we're ready. I got my team ready here. Analyzation is gonna come in and I'm gonna explain exactly why I brought the Pokemon that I have here, and I cannot fucking wait to just get into this battle. I'm fucking pumped right now. I'm freaking fired up. I cannot fucking wait. The battle's gonna happen tomorrow. The upload is gonna happen. The battle, of course, is gonna go up on Friday. This is probably gonna be uploaded on Thursday, I believe. One day, prior, one day before the battle happens, and I cannot wait. And I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. But before we start with this, we're gonna have a match against the Munchlaxster United, run by the coach Bob. And from what I know, Bob is an excellent player, and I'm gonna need to do my best to try to give Bob a challenge, because that is what I'm in for. I'm in for to giving everybody a challenge, just having fun. But by the end of the day, I'm gonna try to do my best to win this. So yes, simple as that. I want to also say that the power rankings that have been uploaded just recently, look, you've been shitting on my name, Sublime, Salamence. That is fucking golden, man. It wasn't even my idea, but don't be fucking shitting on my name. Oh man, that was gold. I'm just joking around. I'm basically, my team, the draft that I drafted, like, I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. I think that I'm gonna try to do my best to play with them as well as one could. But we're gonna need to see, because some of these Pokemon I haven't used in my life, and I think this is like a new challenge to myself as well as my opponents, because with my lack of practice using them, I can play dumb, and that can throw them off guard. Who knows, man? Everything can go. Now before we start with this, I'm gonna use my beanie. Why? Because original guy, the beanie guy, Miguel, I am rooting for the guy to win the freaking GBA. And I was like, you know what? This is gonna be for my fucking lucky hat. Yeah, let's go. Let's destroy everybody. We got a team that I'm gonna explain. If you're listening to this right now on your headphones, you're doing some other things. You're watching. You're like photoshopping. You watch porn or something. You're basically doing stuff. Don't worry, I got you covered. You just gotta put the volume down a little bit so you can hear me, of course. You need to hear me first. So basically, I'm gonna explain exactly which Pokemon my opponent has. While you can see it on the screen, again, if you're doing some other things, I got you covered. Anyways, we got our opponent Bob here, and he is the coach of the following team: Megaglade, Skarmory, Crocodile, Rotom Wash, Infernape, Whimsicott, Dragalge, Uxie, Dusknoir. He's got 3 bench Pokemon, and they are Excavalier, Braviary, and Sceptile. Now I'm very glad that he didn't bring the bravest of birds, and that is of course Braviary. And there is of course also Staraptor out there, but somebody else has dropped that monster. Still, Braviary is very brave, but it seems that he is a coward against us, because this time he was not put outside of the bench. So I'm very glad, because Braviary is a huge problem towards my team, looking at it. And but then we got another Pokemon that will most definitely be used. So with with a review of his team, I'm basically gonna go into what Pokemon I'm actually expecting him to use, why, and I'm gonna explain my team that I've made, built for my opponent. Why did I put these sets? And how am I gonna play around it, as well as why did I put so much EVs into this and that and all that jazz, basically, why did we cook this recipe for absolute destruction or absolute, humiliation. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. He can just destroy me, who knows, but I'm gonna try to do my best to not allow him to do such a thing. So, who would want to get destroyed? Let's be honest here. Anyways, I'm expecting him to lead with. I'm expecting him not to lead, but I'm expecting him to bring Megaglade. I'm expecting him to bring Skarmory. When it comes down to core, I'm expecting him to bring Skarmory and Rotom Wash instead of Whimsicott, because let's be honest, I got Metagross, I got Tentacruel, I got Tornadus, I got Serperior. I got, even Diancie can take a Giga Drain. I would generally think that, Whimsicott is not going to be on your dinner list, your ingredient sections, basically. And while I do have Hydreigon that's weak 4 times to the likes of Fairy, I think one Pokemon is, when you actually see the large range of my other Pokemon, like what can Whimsicott do towards others, Whimsicott barely can touch a freaking Metagross, let's be honest here. So I think that Whimsicott is not going to be used as a core, and I think Dragalge is coming in. I don't think Uxie is coming in because I got Weavile, and while Weavile would be very surprising to use against his team in particular because he's got very good answers to the likes of Weavile, especially if he's got Intimidate, Crocodile, I cannot take him out. He's got Skarmory, an excellent switch towards Weavile. If he's got Rocky Helmet, it's even worse. Mega Gallade, he's kind of standard damage for knockoff, so he can definitely take me one-on-one here. Dragalge is weak to it, but then he's got Uxie and Duskmar, and both are weak to the likes of knockoff. So again, as I said, I think he's not going to see me use Weavile, but at the same time, if he does expect me to use it, I don't think he's going to use Uxie and Duskmar because then he doesn't have the pressure power. I think he's going to need to play offense here. We're talking 2 cores in form of Skarmory and Rotom Wash, which I'm expecting either Rotom Wash or Whimsicott, but Skarmory will be used because he isn't used Braviary basically. He will use Skarmory. And Mega Gallade as well, as I said, Crocodile will be used because I got 3 Pokemon weak to ground. Generally speaking, my draft is actually kind of weak to ground. I'm going to make up for that by using Hydreigon, immune to the ground moves. Big Bird, Big Boss, of course the Tornadus Furion, absolute monster. I cannot wait to use this beauty and, get some, rock you like a hurricane action going on. Then we got, of course, Grand Ka, our Serperior that also resists. So Crocodile will be his incredible essence, but at the same time, we do have some Pokemon to take on this threat that is the Croc. Rotom Wash, as I mentioned, will be used most definitely because Rotom Wash can very pair against the likes of Tentacruel. It can go well against Tornadus as well. It mostly resists all his moves, aside if I go like mix and go for knockoff and play that jazz. Well, it's a setup for my Serperior. I think Rotom Wash can also get Signal Beam, so that's something I have to keep in mind. But Serperior should outspeed it in case he isn't Scarf. Then again, I doubt he's going to be using the Scarf for one. Who knows? Actually, I would be very scared of Scarfers, generally looking at this team. I don't think he can play too much stall with looking at my team because I got... Here's a thing, I got Pokemon that can cover Skarmory even after my team being kind of weak to the likes of Skarmory's typing. I do have Pokemon that can actually super effect hit and destroy. So basically, let's go right into our team. First, we got Bloody Mary, our leader our leader of the map here. We got the leader of the team, our Mega Pokemon. We're gonna have Protect here. For not really, well, to get at least that Mega off, Speed also, gets recognized after you Mega, but before that, it doesn't work, so we're just gonna try to play it safe. I got enough speed, of course, max speed to speed tie with the likes of Mega Gallade. I have to speed tie with that because I can super effect hit it, and that is huge. Like Moonblast on Mega Gallade, if he's got like a special defensive one, he can take it, but if he's got like an offensive one, you're gone. Like Mega Gallade, speed tie with this, I have to play that game. I just have to. Mega Gallade is too big of a threat. And who doesn't want to have an epic battle between Megas and that aren't sub. Moonblast and Diamond Storm are very good coverage, especially speaking. Skarmory can run Iron Head, which I'm actually expecting Skarmory to have. But looking at his team, he doesn't really have a switch outside of Skarmory that can really appreciate taking these 2 coverages. Uxie is not going to appreciate taking a Moonblast, let's be honest here. I also got Magic Bounce. It cannot Thunder Wave me, it cannot do anything of that shenanigree. He will have to run like Hidden Power Steel or something like that, but that's really not going to do as much as one would want. We're talking about an unstep Hidden Power Steel here. Does it get Iron Head? I cannot seem to say, but again, it is an Uxie, so if it doesn't have like heavy investment to attack, it's not going to do much. But only if he's going to use an Uxie, which is not on my plan here to prepare myself completely. Uxie is not a powerhouse when it comes down to doing damage. I think he cannot afford to allow me to set up, because if he doesn't have the damage at his disposal, I will set up on him. So basically, looking at the rest of his Pokemon, Rotom Wash doesn't like to take Moonblast on the Switch. Definitely not if he's not especially defensive. Infernape also doesn't take any moves on the Switch. Let's be honest here, it's an Infernape. Mostly of them are very, very frail. While he can run like a defensive one with Slack Off, I don't think he's gonna try to play that game against my team. At least I don't believe he's gonna try to go this gimmicky this early in the weeks that we're in. This is still at the end of the day week 1. And Dragalge, again, Moonblast doing it doesn't really do super effective damage, but I think Diamond Storm is going to do more against Dragalge, because Dragalge, especially if Assault Vest, is going to take this move quite well. But I think Bloody Mare is very important. While his team is not, this is something that hasn't been mentioned in the power rankings. Of course, there's so many teams, people can easily skip on, and you know, this is only to be expected. We're only humans, but his team is not weak to the likes of rocks. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is something I have to recognize. His team isn't weak to rocks. Like, he's got a Dragalge that can absorb toxic spikes. If I would have a Pokemon to put up spikes, you know, that would have been great. But then he's got Skarmory, so I don't know if he's going to use a default Skarmory for this particular battle, because again, as I said, he doesn't have a very weak Stealth Rock team. Not to mention that he doesn't have a single Rapid Spinner. That is very interesting. Mostly you see like a Rapid Spinners every now and again, left and right, but he doesn't have it. So we have to kept that one in mind. I'm still gonna use Stealth Rocks if I can get them up there, because that cheap damage can make some potential to hits an actual guarantee to hits. I did some calcs here, and Stealth Rocks can be very, very important. While he does have 2 Pokemon that I believe he's gonna, 3 Pokemon that I believe he's gonna bring in that basically resistance: Mega Glade, Infernape, and Rotom Wash. Not Rotom Wash, Crocodile. They all resist, but again, Focus Sash for Infernape can also be it. So that's going to be Mega Diancie, Eevee Spread. I also explain why I'm bringing that. It is our powerhouse. It's going to be used beginner and mid game. That is what I'm planning on doing. Anyways, we're gonna go to us, Xenon, the Metagross. I cannot wait to use this Pokemon. We're gonna have it for some gimmicky purposes, you know, because basically, you know, you want to have some creativity going on. You want to give people this false sense of security, and this is exactly what this Metagross is about. Anyways, I've heard some ideas about, you know, me lacking bulk and all. You know what? You want me to have bulk? Fine. I'm gonna have Light Screen and Reflect with Light Clay. Most Psychic-type Pokemon have the opportunity to get both screens going. So we're talking about dual screen with Light Clay here. And I got Gravity and Earthquake. Now what Gravity does, 70% moves will hit all the time, like Hurricane, for example, which I do have on this team's arsenal. I do have a Pokemon that runs Hurricane, Life Orb. That's going to be beautiful. I cannot wait for that. This Pokemon is all about supporting my teammates here. Okay, I'm all about the team play. And I think Gravity is going to work well against a switching Skarmory that would normally wall me outside of maybe like a Power Punch, Thunder Punching, basically Metagross. Skarmory would need to use Whirlwind. If he's got Defog to get rid of the screens, that's fine, but I can at least scout what kind of Skarmory this is, and with max attack, I can damage him greatly. If he's a special defensive one, this is going to do about 68 maximum, but that's a lot of damage, and with the speed investment, I should be outspeeding this. So I can still like pressure him to a certain extent, so he needs to like roost away, and I can scout what kind of set he is. He can run an Ironhead, Brave Birding, Skarmory with Roost and Defog, which would probably be the best set going against my team, just because 2 Pokemon are very dangerous towards him, and that is, of course, Diancie and Serperior. So special defensive one, running those 2 offensive moves would be the best option, and I'm actually expecting that from him. But at the same time, he could run like Spikes or something, and that can kind of give him that pressure. I got Clear Body to kind of handle myself against Intimidating Crocodile, because I'm not fucking scared of no one. Freaking Intimidating Crocodile, what's that against a freaking Metagross? You're not playing games with this. Freaking putting up Reflect, I can take your Earthquakes for days. I don't even know if you can 2-shot me with this. This is insanity. If you're Scarf, that is. I cannot seem to say, but Reflect is incredible, and so is Light Screen. I also witnessed that he's got lack of special attackers. If he does have some, but I can handle special attackers to a certain extent, while his Mega Glade as a physical one, his Infernape and Crocodile most likely going to be like, Infernape can go mix, but Crocodile is going to be physical. I think they can put up Reflect. We're talking some serious bulk for my team here. And I can set up against special attackers with Serperior a little bit easier than against physical attackers. So that is definitely because Serperior does have some really good elemental resistance towards them. Yes. So, Light Clay, as I mentioned, Earthquake is going to hit Dragalge. I got EV spreads that may actually confuse a little bit the people that are watching this. I'm going to explain what's with this EV spread that I got here. I cannot speed an 8 EV special. I cannot speed an 8 EV's defensive or a special defensive Rotom. I think he's not gonna try to out creep, Metagross or something, because my team is generally very fast, so Rotom cannot really try to speed creep anything. And I don't think he's gonna have Metagross in mind to speed creep. If he's gonna like creep speed us, he's probably gonna be max speed. In that case, I cannot even speed creep. I cannot speed creep that kind of form of Rotom. What I can speed creep is at the end of the day still a defensive one, and I can get Gravity going, I can Earthquake and do significant amount of damage, where I can come in with Serperior and try to threaten it with a Leaf Storm and so forth. That is what we're in. So I think this Pokemon can definitely pull in work, give him this false sense of security, because it is the gimmick of this week, and go from there. As well as Dragalge doesn't like taking Earthquake, Max Attack, Infernape. If I got some Light Screen and Reflect, I can easily take a Fire Blast from a Life Orb set without a doubt. I can take anything from that. I can take a Crocodile. Earthquake is still going to do a significant amount of damage. Intimidate doesn't work. He can go for knockoff now that I think about it, and he can knock off my Light Clay, which would be problematic, but at the same time, getting chip damage on those things can definitely work. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, just saying. Right, with that being said, we're gonna go to our spinner. Now, in case his Skarmory has spikes, that can be a problematic thing. Well, I'm not too weak to spikes. I mean, I am to a certain extent. I got the answer to kind of bounce back, but I don't want to play that game. I don't want to be playing two mind games here. The answer can easily get one shot by freaking Iron Hit, so I cannot afford that. But at the same time, I may just do that because he's never gonna Iron Head a freaking Tentacruel. So the thing is, I got Clear Body, not really Clear Body. This is wrong actually. Wait. Tentacruel doesn't have Clear Body. What's going on here? Okay, something is clearly amiss. Oh yeah, Liquid Ooze. I don't know what that was right there, but basically we got Toxic Spikes, we got Reflect type. Again, very crazy. We got leftovers just because Reflect type. If I turn into something else, I'm basically gonna start getting damage if I got Black Sludge. So that's why I got leftovers. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna see Reflect type coming in even after seeing leftovers, because most people can easily like make that mistake. I used to like run leftovers on poison Pokemon in the past, and a trick thing is most likely not gonna happen. Looking at this team, he doesn't really have too many Pokemon like Uxie can trick, but the chances of that happening are rather slim. Scald, because it's Scald, it's one of the best moves in the game. You can poison Pokemon and switch, it is incredible. And Rapid Spin as well, as I said, I need myself a reliable Rapid Spinner just because some of these Pokemons I got, at least one Pokemon doesn't really like Stealth Rocks in particular. I would want to preserve him, especially with screen support. So let me look at his team a little bit. Let's say I'm in against Skarmory. I can go for a Reflect type and he switches out to, let's say, Rotom. Now I become an electric water type Pokemon. Now I got still a Stab, Scald at my disposal, and I got easier time to put up Toxic Spikes because, let's be honest here, that is basically I'm immune, not immune, but I'm actually taking standard damage from his T-Bolts, from his Volt Switches, instead of super effective damages. So it is very situational, but I think like if I can turn into a Skarmory as well as Mega Glade on the Switch, we're talking Psychic and Fighting, that I can definitely take him on a little bit better than I would have taken him on if I was pure poison, because pure poison would also make me weak to the likes of let's say a Psychic type move from the likes of him. So if he doesn't have a sub setup with Mega Glade, I can even burn him. And if I can put up the spikes and he doesn't have the opportunity to get rid of them, he's gonna suffer. He does have Dragalge, but again, as I mentioned, if I can turn into a Dragalge, that would probably be a bad thing, to be honest, because Dragalge is actually weak to its own self now that I think about it. But that's what dragons mostly have, this self super effective weaknesses syndrome going on for them. But yeah, that's basically it. A Liquid Ooze. I think that if he's gonna use Whimsicott with Leech Seed, like a very annoying set, this Pokemon can go really well against one. and proceed to go from there. Now with Reflect and defensive set, I can easily take Earthquakes from the likes of Crocodile. I can take Earthquakes from the likes of Infernape. Iron Fist boosted Thunder Punch is never going to take this out, and I can Scald away. I can even take on an offensive Infernape a little bit better when I'm actually more defensive investment instead of special defensive, because you know, Life Orb Close Combat is still going to do a lot if I'm not defensively invested. And I think that I need to be more physically defensive on this guy, just in case I get into a corner where I cannot take like 2 close combats on a switch, when if I was defensive I could definitely take that, because that's gonna allow me to like play games with him, put up some spikes, Scald and Rapid Spin and all those jazz, you know. It should be a very fun Pokemon, but I don't plan to use this Pokemon too much. I plan to use this really early on, or I sack it. But I don't plan to use it too much because he can set up against one, and I'm gonna have that one in mind. Gallade can run Hypnosis, Gallade can run Sword Dance, it can run Bulk Up. It is a threat, and I cannot allow it to set up. Now, the only good thing is that he will not, he's probably not gonna have any more speed that he already possesses. He's got 110 base speed, so that's a lot of speed. But I think that if I don't allow it to set up, I can outspeed, because I got, you know, I got 1 that speed ties and 2 that normally outspeeds it. So the speed, you know, the EV spread already explained. I think this Pokemon can go really well against his team to a certain extent. I mean, you know, its Scalds are still going to do a lot against Skarmory in general. I can burn it. Something on the Switch is going to get most likely burnt as well. So he can run Uxie with Heal Bell. That can also be it. But him running Uxie also means that my next Pokemon, which he probably expects me to use, is Garurumon Supreme. Now, I don't have Dark Push just because I don't believe he's going to use Uxie. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we got Jake here. And this is a Hydreigon. I'm very, very glad that Hydreigon is part of my squad here, because Hydreigon is, I'm looking at his movesets, and this thing is incredible. While it is 4th and weak to the likes of Fairies, and Fairies being very famous, I think that if you can play around Fairies, you can definitely just make this Pokemon into a monster, into a powerhouse, and that's exactly what I'm gonna try to do with it. So the EV spreads are simple. I can outspeed a Jolly Scarf Crocodile, because Crocodile, I believe, can still run Ice Fang, it can still run Superpower, and I would rather outspeed such a Pokemon before it actually hits me. But at the same time, I could easily go Modest thinking about it, because outside of Scarf Crocodile, I generally would outspeed, or else he would outspeed me. Infernape normally outspeeds anyways, but I think that you know, I could easily have gone Modest here, or just put a little bit more bulk into his HP. All else is put into his special attack and HP, basically. So about the Levitate, very important, because my team is kind of weak. Until this point it was weak to ground, and Crocodile being Scarf could become a very big threat. I got Chopper Berry here to take on the likes of Gallade. If he doesn't have a sub, he will get Thunder Wave, and once Gallade is Thunder Wave, he is much easier to deal with. Infernape also can get Thunder Wave, but actually if Infernape goes for the close combat, it will not take me out, and I can just one-shot him with a Dragon Pulse. So I think Infernape, you know, just basically Thunder Wave is very good. It is a very good status move, and I'm gonna try to use it, you know, in this battle and see how well it performs. Fire Blast and Dragon Pulse, I think, basically covers all of it. Mega Glade, you know, standard damage, Skarmory super effective damage, Crocodile standard damage, Rotom standard damage, Infernape standard damage, Whimsicott super effective damage. Depending if he anchors me, that could be a problem. I got you know, Tentacruel to take on Lead Seed and that annoying set that he may have. Well, I don't have Sludge Bomb. I still think that he's not gonna like, you know, take me on like that. Then he's got Dragalge, which is super effective damage from the likes of Dragon Pulse, and I think Dragalge cannot even outspeed me with his Scarf, because Dragalge is very, very slow, so that's also very important, because I don't want to take that that powerhouse of a Pokemon. But then again, you know, Dragalge can be very bulky. Assault Vest can probably take this on one-on-one without a doubt, because that special defense is way too real. Uxie again, he can, you know, run some T-Waving. I would probably expect something like that, but I can switch out to Bloody Mary. I can play around that to a certain extent later on if he does preserve that Pokemon, and Dusknoir, which again, I don't think he will use against my team in particular. I don't think that Dusknoir is really going to be on his arsenal of use. So yeah, I think Jake is going to be very, very important towards his team, and I think it's basically because I got Chopper Berry to take on Infernape, because Infernape is quite a threat. It is probably the biggest threat, as well as Mega Glade. Fighting is probably the biggest threat towards this team, and I have to handle it. And I think that what I've come up with may just work, or I may just fail horribly. So we're gonna see as time is gonna take its toll. I also want to thank Wordlet for helping me out here. Basically, most of this have been my idea, like Reflect type, Tentacruel. I didn't even tell him about this set until now. I mean, telling you guys, but basically he kind of stopped me at some point because I keep on overthinking things, and I'm thanking for that and for taking the time. Wordlet is an excellent player, but as I said before, basically all these ideas have pretty much come up from me. He was just rechecking, and you know, I wanted one person to kind of, you know, like look into this and, you know, kind of ground me into a certain extent, be like, okay, stop, Xenon, just freaking stop, look at this. And you know, but I just want to say that basically, you know, he looked at everything to a certain extent. Then I kind of make some changes that he doesn't know, like a Chopper Berry Hydreigon, for example, and a freaking Reflect type Tentacruel. But again, up until that point, everything was okay. So I still again want to thank him for taking the time of his day and helping me out. But anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to threats, and I'm talking some serious threats here. Like, he doesn't have switches for like this, likes of this. He just doesn't. Gravity can help my Tornadus with Hurricane. I forgot to say, Gravity actually makes all flying Pokemon and levitating Pokemon get hit by Earthquake, and still basically Skarmory is super affected by this, as well as you know, Rotom super affected by this. So basically, this is why I got the Gravity Earthquake going on. So that's basically that. But let's go back to Big Boss here. So what is Big Boss going to be all about? Well, Big Boss is about damage, and we're talking freaking damage like no other, okay? Mega, it just, let's be honest, super effect hit against Mega Glade Hurricane. Super effect hit Skarmory. Doesn't appreciate, Crocodile doesn't appreciate Hurricane whatsoever. Rotom is the best choice, but I got U-turn for that. Infernape doesn't appreciate even Air Slash, which if I don't want to play with Hurricane, I'm already gonna go for Air Slash. Both of the other moves he actually resists. One he actually resists 4 times, being U-turn. Whimsicott doesn't appreciate Hurricane or Air Slash. Dragalge doesn't like to appreciate taking 2 Hurricanes on the switch, not to mention I can confuse it, and that is still 30%. That's a lot of percentage. Uxie doesn't appreciate, like, nothing appreciates Hurricane. Like, even if you're the bulkiest Pokemon around, if you take standard damage and if you're not spell Chansey, you're gonna be taking some serious damage here. So yeah, basically that is this Pokemon for us. Big Boss, it's got enough EVs to outspeed Mega Glade, which is very trollish because I'm seeing that I got this pattern of I need to outspeed Mega Glade, but this is pretty much very self-explanatory. I have to outspeed it. I don't think Mega Glade is gonna have anything to reach out its speed even further aside if I flinch it, which is gonna, like, you know, raise up its speed, or if it's got justified, I cannot seem to say, but I think he's got inner focus. Well, either way, I cannot play any games with that. I can just Hurricane away if I got Gravity going and proceed to go from there. Everything else is put into HP and special attack. I got Life Orb here to basically dish out as much damage as I can. Got Rapid Spin to get rid of the rocks, because rocks, you know, I can regain most of the Life Orb damage hit points, but if rocks keep on happening, you know, that can kind of make my bulk a little bit less from the likes of help of Xenon here with Light Screen Reflect. So I'm definitely going to try to do my best to preserve this Pokemon to reasonable amount of health and use it late game. Now, speaking of late game, here comes the biggest threat to his team. This is, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the absolute monster that is Serperior. Now, Serperior doesn't have too many at her arsenal. You don't have too many options, but the one option you have is by far the most scariest option, and nobody wants to face this. Let's be honest here, nobody wants to face Serperior because it's got Contrary, and Contrary was one of the best abilities when you actually combine that with the likes of, like, you know, Pokemon that got like Superpower, or even now in this case freaking Leaf Storm. You know, you're gonna raise your special attack. Every time you use Leaf Storm, you can just spam it and raise your special attack by 2, by 2, by 2. That is insanity. So basically, I was looking at his arsenal here, and I'm kind of starting to realize, wow, my team is very fast. Like, yes, he's got Whimsicott that can outspeed, but I don't think he's gonna use Whimsicott. That's why my Tornadus is basically meant to outspeed Mega Gallade, but not really Whimsicott. I should maybe think about outspeeding Whimsicott, but again, like I said, Whimsicott also gets Prankster, and basically he can like Stun Spore or something. But with that being said, we got a leftover substitute set. Now we can get Reflect and Light Screen going on with this Pokemon. And if he's got Uxie, I can avoid T-Waving with Substitute. I can also, but I have to play about that a little bit. I was debating whether or not I should use Lum and just directly threaten them. But then I've come to realize if I can make a sub and I got Reflect on, I can have easier time set up against something else. If Skarmory has Whirlwind, that would be incredible, but that would also mean that he is lacking something else on his arsenal. Having Whirlwind and Roost would also apply that. Whirlwind and Roost would apply. He doesn't have Defog, and that would also apply. I can put up spikes and so forth. And it can be a party basically. We can just make a party and poison every single Pokemon that comes in. Well, not really every single Pokemon, but the Pokemon that really are the threats would get poisoned, and the others that aren't that big of a threat, well, actually Dragalge can get rid of that. But still, as I mentioned, that would still apply that he has to switch out one. And basically I got enough speed to outspeed Omega Gallade. I got everything rest put into HP and special attack. Now I did some calcs, and I believe even a special defensive Skarmory cannot take on a Leaf Storm, switch him in, and then Hidden Power Fire. It will still take him out. I believe it's about just enough, or I got a very high chance, like I believe a 90% chance to take him out. So if I can put up the rocks, that's a guarantee there. There is no question about it. I will take him out. Skarmory also runs 30, so I need to keep that one in mind. He also has weak armor, which I also have to think. If he's got like a setup Skarmory going on, that could be an issue. Looking at my team, that could definitely work, but I got Metagross to a certain extent to kind of stop such set, and he would be lacking the bulk in such a Skarmory, I would assume, I would imagine at least. But then again, Cursing Skarmory, is that even a thing? I cannot seem to say, but the Cursing Skarmory could definitely do some work here. Still, avoiding some statuses here with Substitute against the likes of maybe a potential Uxie with Thunder Wave. Then we got Rotom with a potential Thunder Wave. It could just be because it can take at least one Leaf Storm, and Thunder Waving this Pokemon would basically scream the end of it. But I can easily make a sub against a Rotom without the Signal Beam. If I got some screens going, I can easily take that and not even break my sub, which is insanity, because if you got this Pokemon under a sub, then you're basically screaming in agony and pain. Everybody would be scared of this. I would be scared of this. Like, who's not freaking scared of freaking Contrary, Leaf Storm, Substitute, Grand Ka? You just have to be. It's in the rules, basically. You have to be scared. You have to, like, I want to see somebody facing this, having a face cam going on and be like all calm about it. I really want to see that, because this thing, you just don't fuck around with it. So Leaf Storm handles Mega Glade. After some boosts, I can destroy it. I believe after +4, if he's got like offensive one, I can actually destroy it. Skarmory gets two-shotted by Leaf Storm combination with Hidden Power Fire. Crocodile doesn't appreciate taking Leaf Storm whatsoever. Rotom doesn't appreciate taking Leaf Storm whatsoever. Infernape doesn't take a Leaf Storm with the combination Dragon Pulse, takes him out, and I can normally outspeed it if he's not Scarf. Whimsicott, on the other hand, can definitely take some moves, but I don't think Whimsicott can really take me on one-on-one. It can take me on to a certain extent, but it depends on his move. Plus, I don't think he's gonna use Whimsicott. I should probably think about prepare myself for Whimsicott a little bit more, but I just aren't doing that. Leaf Storm Dragon Pulse doesn't take on a Dragalge. I can do some damage, but I would fail still, so I need at least +4. At least +4. So that's also a factor. But Uxie, again, as I mentioned, if I got some screens going, Uxie cannot even touch me, and he can set up against one and stuff would be in pain. Plus, if you give opponents pressure, they start to make mistakes. There's a high chance of them really starting to make mistakes, and that is where we're gonna try to take initiative. But these are the Pokemon that really put in pressure. So basically, looking at his team, looking at my team, what am I expecting? I'm expecting him to play offense. I'm expecting him to go, kill or be killed kind of tactic, because he knows that whatever he does, if he's got a choice Pokemon, and based on my synergy going here, Even if he goes for Earthquake, that would spell that I can switch out to either my Tornadus, Hydreigon, or even Serperior, and he doesn't have a single switch for the likes of this. Like, if I can make a right prediction here, and if his choice lock into Earthquake, he will have to switch out, and I don't have any of this Pokemon choice, so even if I like make a misplay and predict him to predict this, switch, and he doesn't switch out and keep on spamming like Earthquake or something, something crazy, then, basically I can still keep on switching around moves and whatnot. I got also U-turn to scout a little bit, so I believe, team synergy wise, I got the upper hand. But then he also does have some very powerful threats. I'm talking if he's got 3 Scarfers, which I'm very scared of. Now, the best tactic going against this team right here would be him using actual 3 Scarfers. Scarf Infernape, Scar to Rotom Wash, and Crocodile Bean Scarf. The reason I'm saying this is because Scarf Rotom Wash without Speed Tornadus, and it's got Volt Switch, and I don't have a single Pokemon that's actually immune to this. Maybe I should run Claydol, but running Claydol when he's got Crocodile, Rotom, Whimsicott, Dragalge, generally I don't think Claydol is really gonna do me much. It would even be a setup fodder for the likes of Mega Galate, so Claydol really wouldn't do. And basically it could be a huge issue. Infernape is also being Scarf, can easily go for close combat, but I got Choppa Berry on my Hydreigon, my Jig, and basically, as I mentioned, I think that those 3 would definitely be a threat, but I have to keep in mind every single possibility here. I think that this team is well prepared to a certain extent. Now, of course, I'm not gonna overdo it, but I think that what I have here is decent enough. I was really debating whether or not I should use a direct Lumberry Giga Drain set on Serperior, but then I've decided to go with this and just end it here. I also got what do we got here that I should definitely keep in consideration. I should have prepared for Uxie or Dragalge a little bit more now that I think about it. While I do have Metagross with Speed Dragalge, even Max Speed Dragalge, now that I think about it, that's very useful. Actually, that EV spread, while it doesn't only outcreep defensive Rotom, it also outspeeds Dragalge, and that can be useful. It outspeeds Skarmory, and I believe Skarmory and Metagross also both have I could be mistaken, but I believe they both possess same base speed, if I'm not mistaken. Is Skarmory's base speed 70? Cannot seem to say how much Metagross's speed is. I believe it's 70. But let me check. Is it 70? Yes, it is 70. So I believe they both possess same base speed. But I think that the team matchup I have in my favor, but that doesn't really say much, because my opponent, while knowing that I have the upper hand team matchup, he can easily play around that. And I believe that because my team matchup is greater than his, this is going to make my opponent even that much more tougher to go against, because he will really think about just about every possibility he can find to go against my team. So I'm going to need to think about this. Bob is an excellent player, and I look forward to this battle, and I hope you guys are looking forward to this as well, because we're going in and I'm not standing down. Like, I'm going into this, I'm bringing challenge. That is what I'm in for, to give these people challenge. And I am basically looking, I'm basically trying to like, I know I'm gonna get challenged by all of these guys because they're all incredible players. But, I'm in here, competitive, let's go, enjoying myself, and hope everybody's gonna have, just great time watching the bells as they're gonna arrive. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you much for watching. This has been this has been Sublime Salamence. I know, freaking name, right? But look, I like this name, okay? So back off. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you much for watching, and that's gonna be it from me. Yes, let's go. Friday cannot come. I want Friday to come right now. Well, actually, tomorrow is Tuesday. Wait, is tomorrow Tuesday? What am I talking about? I'm fucked up. I need to go to bed. It's like 3 a.m. right now. Yeah. I cannot wait. Peace out, guys.